This show is brought to you by Directory.com, the safest way to hire a contractor.
We are back. Keep drinking our coffees, morning drinks, whatever you guys drinking, everything goes. We keep talking today about contractors who actually went to jail for their frauds, for their misbehavings, mismanaging money. And before we go to the next story, which is absolutely crazy one, Alabama's most wanted contractor, I want to share the solution. I think the only solution here is we need to hire a contractor the same way we buy houses. You need to find third-party escrow service, someone who will hold the bag of money and only will pay contractor when the services are delivered. Think about when we buy a house. Like you would not write a cashier's check or check, for a couple $100,000 to someone hoping that you'll get a sale, everything goes through, right? So that's why we have that service. And I predict that in the near future, escrow service is going to be an absolute rise. We already have 2, 3 players in the market. Directory is one of them. Paykeeper is another one. And I saw another escrow service company in this space, and I think is the only way, because if you would finance your roofing job, or financing companies also act like escrow companies. They will not release the funds until the job is done. You're not on who's going to payment if you're not satisfied customers. So I think it's the only way. It doesn't matter if it's a small company, big company. It's the only protection you have. Now, next one is actually the biggest sentencing. John has the story.
Yes, sir. So if you guys thought that the Florida story was crazy, let's talk about Alabama's most wanted here. So let's meet Mr. Johnny Ray Jordan, a so-called contractor from Alabama who made a career out of ripping people off. When the law finally caught up with him, Jordan was slapped with one of the harshest sentences that we've ever seen in a fraud case. So here's some of the details with it. So Jordan was arrested several times in 2022 over reports that he took deposits from homeowners for projects that were never started and left unfinished. In one case, a victim reported paying him more than $43,000. According to the court documents, Jordan used forged documents to falsely present himself as a licensed contractor. What looked like a generic contractor fraud case turned into a much bigger. Law enforcement from multiple jurisdictions worked together to build a case against him. The investigation found that Jordan had a long history of similar fraud offenses across Alabama, leaving victims out of tens of thousands of dollars. Because of his criminal history, Jordan was sentenced as a habitual felony offender. Jordan pled guilty to fraud and theft charges. So this is some of the outcomes here. In 2024, he was convicted on multiple counts of fraud and sentenced to 20 years in prison. But that wasn't the end. Another case was brought against him in 2025, and he pled guilty to more theft and fraud charges. And that landed him another 20-year sentence. In total, he is serving 41 years in prison. He's been ordered to repay these victims, though they may never see a dime, and he may never get out of prison, it sounds like.
So do you agree that someone is making case of him, or he deserves this 40 years? What do you think? Looks like he has a long history here.
Well, I'll add something I just read that was really interesting about this guy.
Sure.
Even after being in jail, he was still trying to defraud a previous customer of his of thousands of dollars for bail, even though he's not eligible to be let out on bond. So even behind the jail cell, this guy is still up to no good. So I think the court saw something. I mean, we're reading about him, but I believe the court that he is a habitual felony offender here.
Yeah, you know what's funny?
Shows no remorse.
You know what's funny? I just noticed that the first story, they both have the same middle name, Ray. First one was Stephen Ray Parker. This guy is Johnny Ray Jordan. It's gonna be a red flag for me now if you have Ray in between your names.
Yeah, I don't trust you.
I think when you become on the PFO side, on the felony offender, like that's a 3 and out type of a strike and rule. So like this wasn't his first offense, obviously. So this is his third offense. I would say there was other baggage that was falling in behind him than just this case, because 20 years is a bit excessive. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have got sentenced, but it's a bit excessive for just this specific case, or let's say there's 10 victims here. But so I would say that there's something else was holding over his head. It's like, hey, if you ever do X again, this is what it's going to be slammed up against you. So most time, like when you get a PFO, it's an automatic 10 years on top of whatever that sentence is.
My question to my American friends is about Alabama. Uh, for many years, I've heard that Alabama is the most depressed state to work in, like in the roofing industry at least. It pays the least amount. It's just the hardest for so many reasons. What's your take on Alabama, and what do you hear about Alabama? It's pretty poor state, my understanding, isn't it?
I know it's been growing a lot. I do know that, like with I guess NASA and all the space stuff. But I don't know much about the roofing there. I'm not gonna lie. For a second, I thought you were gonna say Mississippi, and that would make a little more sense to me.
So what states
roll Tide's the only thing I know about Alabama. So you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
And Nick Saban, because he's a West Virginia boy. So I knew Saban. But other than that, I don't know anything about Alabama. Never
Me
worked
either. Isn't it really hot and humid there?
there. It's Florida. Yeah.
Talladega.
It's North Florida, I think is what it is.
That's funny. Well, so far, I mean, we have absolute winner here, 41 years in prison. And again, I like it. I like that they're making these cases. We have, I'll share a funny story. I have one in Tennessee, actually, 2 years ago. We shared the news on our YouTube channel. We did not cover the story. So local news ran a story of local unlicensed contractor. It was two of them. So the guy from, I think, New Jersey and the local guy, they paired up. Anyway, so they took deposits, didn't do the job, got prosecuted. And the original guy who was from out of town, actually, he got felony. So they charged him. He went either to jail, have to pay fine, whatever. So local news made a story on him, and he actually had a track record, exactly what John said. So in the past, he was operating without license. Now he's doing it again. So he did it like in New Jersey, and he actually got fines there, and then he moved to Tennessee doing it again. But now he got in trouble, was taking money and did not do the job, and one of the homeowners filed charges. They start prosecuting him. And local news made a story on him, and I shared that story. The guy ended up suing the news anchor, suing the police for defamation, suing everyone, coming after me. Even last week, I have a threat from him saying that you still have that story up. I'll sue you for defamation. And all we did is share local, story. So back to our conversation about blacklisting anyone or hall of shame. I think there's we have to be careful, but at the same time, if you're the homeowner and you give someone's money, because if you read all of these stories, like the sad part here, one thing is in common, that most of these guys, now they're in jail. So you have couple $100,000 here, a couple $100,000 here. Next story, I think, is $500,000. People will never see those monies. So the question becomes, how do we stop, and how many victims is enough? Because you will be surprised how easy it is to scam one or two people, but from 1 to 10, it's a very fast-paced road. Because imagine if you have 20, 30 customers, open jobs, and you just need to raise $100,000, $200,000. That's what's happening at the end, and you kind of can see through this story. So they already know the upside down. They already gave up. One reason or another, they already know they're not getting out of it. So I feel personally like they want to be stopped. They almost like need help, because they will not stop until someone stops them. And if I'm honest with you, I love this country, but police in this country work so slow. I have 3 trailers stolen from me, and to this day, nobody's prioritizing it, right? Theft is theft. So for police here, it's like $5,000, $10,000. It really depends what county, who you're dealing with. You know, you're not going to get a judgment against someone over $2,000, $5,000, or $10,000. Now, if you have 10 people, now you might get some attention. But do we need the court system, the police, the officers? Do we need to wait until there's 10 victims? Or should we start spreading word around after second, third, fourth? That's my thought on the whole Hall of Shame. I love the tradition back in the day in this country where if you would write a bad check to a local grocery store, they would put it on the wall, you know, bad check offenses, you know, letting everybody know, like, hey, this guy wrote a bad check. And they still do it today. Contractors do it today. They write bad checks, cancel checks. I think we should shame those people just like they did it back in the day, so we stop them quicker. That's just my thought. What do you guys think?
I did some research here too to kind of just look at his past, and this was the 3rd or 4th time. I can't like say which one it is. It's give me on some conflicting information, but it's 3rd or 4th time of doing home repair fraud. So like that's why it's the PFOs
It's
in
a
place there. And it
pattern.
says and it says that there's still more cases still pending. So it's like this guy is like a bad guy. So it makes a lot more sense because like anytime you get to that PFO level, it's like it's just what you do, man, is these felonies all day long. So
Yes, sir.
Maybe the answer is these contractors are getting too many second chances. 'Cause it sounds like it's already gone to court.
Or system moves slowly. So far, we have covered fraud and fraudsters from California, Florida, Alabama. We have one more story for you when we come back, and that story is about garage grifter from Ohio. Stay tuned.